before we get started, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It helps us out a ton, helps us to continue bringing great content, expand the team, and expand the offerings on the channel. And you get an exclusive podcast on the inner workings of Uplink podcast, as well as a deep dive into the world of broader Star Wars gaming and video gaming. So please consider checking it out and supporting us at patreon.com/uplinkpodcast.
Welcome to Uplink.
I want to talk about KOTOR again. So KOTOR has come in the news again. There isn't really anything new about the KOTOR stuff that's been circulating around. It's just a reinforcement that it's going to happen. So Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, who's a great reporter on anything video games, highly recommend anything he writes, especially his book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I love that book. It also contains some more details on canceled Star Wars game 1313. So I'm a big fan of Jason Schreier, but he was a guest on the podcast MinMax, and this is what he said on that podcast. This is public at this point. I've basically confirmed that Aspyr, which is the company that has ported a bunch of KOTOR games, is working on the remake, Schreier said. So that's what he said. We've known this for a little bit. He announced it a couple months ago, and people went crazy about it. Friend of the podcast, Bespin Bulletin, who is a well-known leaker and reporter in the world of Star Wars and Star Wars video game leaks, as well as some other things. He surprises me on his knowledge. Great guy. We need to have him on the podcast again. But KOTOR is going to be happening, and he specifically calls it a remake, not a remaster or port, describing that Aspyr, which is known for a bunch of KOTOR ports, I believe they worked on the mobile port. They're a pretty good company. They work mainly on ports, and I don't know if it's going to be them working on the entire game, or if it's going to be they're just going to be part of it, or what exactly that's going to be looking like. But they're going to be working on a remake, and that could be anything from a basically scene for scene recreation of the game in modern graphics and modern fidelity for modern consoles, or it could be which I think this is more likely, that they're going to remake the game to make it more canon and introduce new storylines, but keeping the heart of what was there and what people enjoy. And I think that's what's going to happen. Again, we don't really get any details on what's going to happen in terms of availability or time frame, just that it's going to be happening. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes and what kind of game that they end up making. Because KOTOR is such a well-respected and loved game in Star Wars and in gaming in general. I know friends of the podcast that we met through the community that play the game yearly, and it's such a huge part of it. And a lot of people were upset with SWTOR, expecting a more KOTOR style game. It ended up being something completely different, and we'll be talking about that next week, about the world of Star Wars: The Old Republic next time. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and keep up to date on that. But I'm really looking forward to KOTOR, any type of remake for KOTOR. I played through it a couple years ago for the first time, and really enjoyed it. But the controls, man. The controls just, they are very dated. They're of the time frame that they are. It definitely works more towards mouse and keyboard. Just the type of game that they are is very mouse and keyboard suited. I did play it on backwards compatibility, so it looked great. And still had a great time. The story is solid, and it lives up to its reputation in terms of the story it tells and the experience that you get from it. And it feels Star Wars, but it doesn't feel cookie cutter Star Wars. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that we get something cool from it, and it's not just a one-to-one remake, but they get to imbue some of the new stuff in gaming, and we get to see a really cool remake. So I'm really looking forward to it. If you're listening to this podcast, let me know through email or on Twitter, contact@uplinkpodcast.com. or on Twitter at Uplink Podcast. I'd love to know your thoughts on the KOTOR remake and what would you expect to see. What do you think the timeline's going to be? Or if you're watching this on YouTube, please let me know down in the comments. But yeah, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be cool to see what they end up creating, and I hope they get to innovate, and I hope they get to bring it up to current standards, and I hope it comes soon. Please, something Star Wars, please come out.